The Pac-12 Tournament rolls on. We are just an hour away from the Wildcats taking on Oregon in the semifinals at a mobile arena in Las Vegas. News 4 Tucson Sports Director Matt Reynoldson joining us live from Las Vegas with more on the game. So Matt, how big of a challenge is this next round for the Wildcats?
Well, Angelique, we know the Wildcats are the favored team in this matchup, but it's notoriously hard to beat a team 3 times. We're here in T-Mobile Arena just about 2 hours before tip-off as the glow-in-the-dark drums start to warm up behind us. But back to this matchup. Arizona won the first 2 meetings in Tucson and in Eugene in pretty convincing fashion. So yesterday, both teams had very different quarterfinals. Arizona knocked off USC by 21 points. Oregon survived the last-second buzzer-beater attempt by UCLA to advance to the semifinals. So I wanted to bring in KEZI sports reporter Nick Ursini, who watched that game go down here in Las Vegas. And Nick, that game was kind of all over the place for Oregon, down at halftime. What did you see in that matchup, and how did the Ducks come back and get the win?
It looked like a team that was coming off a bye, and I'm always kind of concerned when a team comes off a bye. You saw Arizona, looked like they didn't miss a step. For Oregon, a sluggish start, something that Dana Altman was worried was going to happen. They did kind of weather the storm a little bit, and like you mentioned earlier, they got pretty lucky that they were able to hold off a UCLA comeback.
Yeah, the UCLA comeback came on pretty strong, especially at the very end there. But this team and this season, it's been marred by injuries a little bit early. N'Faly Dante has been in and out of the lineup. Dana Altman's done a pretty good coaching job, but Oregon's in that kind of next 4 out situation. But wanted to focus on the first 2 matchups between these 2 teams. I saw one in Tucson, you saw the one in Eugene, and it looked like kind of a matchup advantage for Arizona. What'd you see?
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting matchup because Arizona's just, they're more talented top to bottom. You mentioned these injuries. It's something that Oregon fans have been dealing with for years. It seems like they just don't have the depth that Arizona has, and that was something that Dana Altman said in his post-game yesterday. So I'm interested in 2 matchups. The big men, Oumar Ballo and N'Faly Dante, 2 of the best big men in the entire conference, and then the guard play. You got Caleb Love. He's had 2 really good games against the Ducks. Is it possible that he maybe has an off game? It doesn't happen often, and when it does, you kind of see Arizona struggle just a little bit. Jackson Shellstad is the freshman for Oregon. He still has some inexperience, even though he's played every single game. So those 2 matchups are the biggest ones that I see. For Oregon, they really need to win this one. They need to make it to the national. They need to make it to the championship game if they're going to have a chance to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Oregon's tournament hopes are on the line here at T-Mobile Arena. And you mentioned Caleb Love, the Pac-12 Player of the Year, had a career-high 36 points in that win at Eugene. So that's certainly maybe a matchup issue for Oregon. But Nick, before we get out of here, I want to give you 1 or 2 keys. Give me 1 or 2 keys to this game.
I think for Oregon, it's getting off to that fast start, something that they didn't do. And when I talked to Dana Altman after the game yesterday, he said we got to get the ball to N'Faly Dante more. The big man is such a good facilitator of the ball. You know he's probably going to get double-teamed, but if he can dish it out to some of the guards, and they got to knock down some more shots. If those shots are not falling, it's not a good recipe for this Oregon team to have success. When you're going to get a double-double from N'Faly Dante, pretty much guaranteed, you need some of those other guys. You need Jermaine Couisnard. You need Jackson Shellstad. You need Cario Aquindo to have a good game. If that happens, you're going to keep this one close. If they don't, you saw what happened in Tucson. It could be game over very fast.
He is KEZI sports reporter Nick Ursini joining us for the Oregon perspective on things. Tip-off in just under 2 hours, 5 o'clock tip here from T-Mobile Arena. We'll have more coming up at 4. For now, Matt Reynoldson, News 4 Tucson.